Good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Kelly Hamilton. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Exaion Solutions, and I'll be your moderator today. We understand how challenging it can be to successfully transition to new technologies in order to better understand your claims data with improved speed while achieving real cost savings. That's why I'm excited to present today's webinar, 5 steps for payers to reduce cost and improve data speed, how to effectively use advanced data analytics. Before we get started, I want to go over a few items. First, we welcome all your questions throughout the webinar. To ask a question, all you need to do is type your question directly into the question panel on your GoToWebinar control panel and hit submit. At the end, we'll answer as many questions as possible during the Q&A session. Secondly, we're recording today's webinar and we'll post it on the Exaion website later this week. As soon as it's available, we'll email you so you can watch it again or share it with your colleagues. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to today's speakers. Mason Chaudhry is Exaion's Enterprise Operations Principal with 15 years of experience supporting payer and federal organizations in the adoption of processes and technology, driving program governance, platform migrations, claims adjudication, and quality reporting. Mason has supported clients such as Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield in improving HEDIS measures through technology, addressing regulatory changes such as the ICD-9 to ICD-10 conversion, and increasing automations in the claims space that's led to higher AA rates. Our next speaker is Ramesh Kavuri, a big data expert with Exaion who specialized in payer technology challenges for the past decade. Ramesh has worked on pre- and post-adjudication systems, pricing, and claims auditing. He's led the development and implementation of a big data platform focused on tackling payer issues such as data quality and availability, post-adjudication claims analytics, data storage, and use case development. So without further ado, let's get started. I'll turn the program over to you, Mason.
So with healthcare costs driving the demand for big data through healthcare applications, U.S. healthcare spending has outpaced GDP growth for the past several decades. And with uncertainty being the only certainty in the marketplace these days, reducing costs and optimizing products through innovation has become imperative for providers and payers alike. Standards and incentives for digitizing and sharing of healthcare data and decreasing costs and storage are causing a big data revolution in healthcare with the goal of better care at a lower cost. The healthcare industry is looking to solve a lot of challenges. As we look to improve healthcare quality, reduce cost, improve quality reporting, collect demographic data, new technology can definitely drive a lot of these things, but there are challenges in the payer space. Limited availability to manage unstructured data, legacy data infrastructure, data quality issues, and a shortage of skilled resources still plagues the payer world. So as organizations look to move off of mainframes, older EDWs, data warehouses, and they try to tackle unstructured data, big data really can come in and help with that. So, with that said, the Exaion team has developed a 5-step high-level approach to effectively addressing these challenges and bringing the power of big data within the healthcare space. We've helped clients previously consolidate data from disparate legacy systems, design and implement new technology platforms that don't require wholesale changes to current environments, and lead to analytical output that provides instant ROI. We'd like today to walk you through a case study of how these 5 steps have helped a client in the real world and the payer world adopt big data technology and really lead to the analytical ROI that has a wow factor. How do you move from days on end to ingest data to something that's more closer to real time? These are the kinds of things that we're going to hope to address today. So with that said, let's start with step 1. Before you begin your big data journey, you definitely want to set your vision. You need to acknowledge the problem and the future state you're looking to get to. If you currently have certain KPIs and certain SLAs in your systems and you'd like to look past those, setting the correct vision with the right architecture can bring you realistic ROI. So with that, I'd like to introduce Ramesh. Ramesh, can you give us a little bit of background on the client and industry you're currently working with?
Sure, Mason. Well, the client is a big healthcare payer serving about 750,000 members and processing 60,000 claims daily. We focus on federal employee healthcare, does work within the rules set by the BCBS organizations and Office of Personnel Management. It all started a few years back when we were approached to replace an existing mainframe-based claims pre-adjudication system with a new distributed system based on Java. We have successfully migrated the pre-adjudication system and also built post-adjudication and big data solution on top of the new system.
All right, so what kind of data are you helping manage?
Well, we manage different varieties of data, both structured and unstructured, but mostly related to healthcare claims and its members and providers. Just to give an example, we receive and manage claims in HIPAA X12 837 format, and also we receive unstructured data from our CRM system, mostly in a free flow text format. We generally ingest the data from OLTP systems, for example, Oracle, and CRM systems, for example, Salesforce, into big data on a daily basis. We ingest the data in such a way that it helps us to create a holistic view and approach for serving our members and providers efficiently.
So you're saying that the platform is built on your current legacy systems?
No, we replaced with a new technology based on Java.
Okay, very good. And what are you using the data for?
As I mentioned in my answer to the previous question, the data is mainly used for improving the service to our members and providers by providing our users or CSRs with operational dashboards, member 360 view, and provider 360 view. And also several analytical dashboards are given to our business users where they can slice and dice the data based on different criteria. For example, users can go and easily query for top 10 procedures by paid amount or top 10 diagnosis scores, or even amount charged versus amount paid, or claim paid versus claim pending. The good thing about these analytical dashboards is the data can be sliced or diced at different levels. For example, the same analysis can be done at member level or provider level or even at different claim types. For example, a facility claim versus professional versus dental claims. And also, the historical data is used in machine learning for pattern recognition in finding other party liable claims and duplicate claims to prevent claim leakage.
There are all sorts of use cases with the data that you're using every day and for the end user. So with that said, the step 2 here would be to align the new technology to the business problem that your organization faces. Mm-hmm. So with that, you looked at a Hadoop data lake compared to the traditional BI and enterprise data warehouse that you have. Talk to us about the constraints that the system had prior to implementation of big data.
Yeah, sure. There are different constraints or things that are hard to implement, hard to achieve with the current system, especially in related to serving the data as fast as we can to the users. First one being data archival. This is certainly can be done in traditional way using your enterprise data warehouses, but the hardware and licensing is quite expensive, and making the data available as it happens to business users in a meaningful way is pretty difficult. The second being reporting needs. The whole reporting process is very rigid, and any ad hoc reports are at the mercy of a technical person and capacity of the system. The third one being data analytics. No matter how denormalized is your data in data warehouses, running analytical queries take time, and running them concurrently is very much limited.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. My own experience in the payer world, if we needed a report run on pens or on edits, we were looking at data a month old, and it took time to get those reports to make decisions on how we could improve our AA rates. So that those constraints might be industry-wide.
You're absolutely right.
So with that said, what was the first business problem that you said, hey, this is what the organization is going to look to address with this new technology purchase?
Yeah, basically, our constraints are our business problems. We are looking to alleviate issues related to data archival, reporting needs, and data analytics, and also create a nimble reporting analytical system for business to quickly analyze trends and make quick decisions, and also implement machine learning and predictive analysis to automatically flag the potential duplicate claims and other party liable claims, and ultimately reduce the time and effort spent on recovery of overpayment.
Gotcha. So just so we understand, with a vision set, you have to really understand in step 2 what your problems are, what your constraints are prior to actually looking at technology. So with that said, then we would move to our next step. So now we're looking at the technical elements. We're looking at the Hadoop framework, looking at open source products, we're looking at proprietary products and saying, hey, we really want to speed up our data availability. We want to speed up the way we provide dashboards and analytics, and we also want to vastly reduce the cost of doing all of this compared to what we've been doing in our legacy systems for the past couple of decades. All right, so now that we feel a need for speed, Ramesh, show us how we're going to go from a Pinto to a Ferrari. Why was Hadoop and big data considered? Is it for the speed?
There are several factors. Suppose if you look at the problems we are trying to solve, big data is an obvious choice for several reasons. Be it scalability, cost effectiveness, because it runs on commodity hardware, flexibility in handling huge and variety of data, and its native support for data redundancy, automatic replication, which is good for data archival. Along with it, we get the distributed computing with distributed data suitable for data analytics, and support for machine learning and predictive analysis.
Okay, so we're getting faster and cheaper. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
And I think that's what the allure of big data is across many industries. Can you possibly be faster and save money at the same time? And you're saying in your instance with your client, that's what you achieved.
That's right.
Okay, and I do understand with some of the engagements that we've had that the flexibility of how this technology works, you use as much as you want when you need it. When you don't, you can shut it off. This type of flexibility is not available in relational databases and hardware that you purchase, right?
Absolutely. It's on an on-demand basis.
Okay. So now that you've looked at Hadoop, you looked at big data, who in the organization helped drive this? Like in the payer world, who was helping? Is this something at the executive level, at the team level? Where was this discussed?
Well, it's a combination. It is our technology team with the help of our business operational team. Management is really focused on reducing manual labor and time spent on recovery of payments made on OPL or subrogation claims and duplicate claims, thus reducing our financial liability and optimizing our analytics.
So this is an IT-driven decision, but the end result, you're getting the buy-in from business because of the results you're seeing.
Exactly.
Okay. So then let's talk specific technology. So big data to open source, there are a lot of companies that are really powering this technology. Who was chosen and why?
We looked at different best-in-class technologies. As you mentioned, open source availability within our legal constraints and pricing constraints. Based on our problems and the capabilities of big data, Hadoop framework was chosen. We looked at various big data players, including Cloudera, Hortonworks, and MapR, but ultimately we ended up choosing Cloudera.
Okay. All right, so you set your vision, you figure out your business needs, you choose your technology, then you move to step 4. So now let's see what all of this can do. So predictive analytics, identifying patterns that traditional BI cannot pick up, that's the goal here, and doing it while we save money. So when you guys chose the technology, did you elect to do a proof of concept, a pilot, something else?
Yes, yeah, we did implement a prototype where we took 1 year worth of claims data and ingested them into HDFS in a compressed Parquet file format, created Hive tables on top of those files, and we built a Solar index on data arrival. We did claim analytics using Cloudera Impala, implemented a small machine learning use case using Spark on Kafka. Results were very promising as compared to the storage requirements for the same data in big data versus enterprise data warehousing, and the analytical query processing times and the scalability. They were very promising.
So let me ask you this. Was this something that was a throwaway, or was this something that you could build on? Because this is an investment, right?
No, yes, exactly. We built this prototype in a mind like, we could expand and make it as a production system.
And that's the beauty of it. I think that's what we've seen with other clients as well, that you don't have to build something in a vacuum and come back and say, hey, let's try it now and in a bigger scale.
Yes.
So with that said, let's talk about how you tested it, because one of the issues that we see with our clients in healthcare, security is very important. You've got PHI, you've got all sorts of regulatory issues. How did you test not just the security, but the system itself?
Yeah, the system was basically tested against the benchmarks that we have from our current system in terms of storage cost, processing time, reliability, availability, and scalability. The data and cluster security has been tested for any security leaks, as our Cloudera cluster and data is secured with Kerberos for authentication, and we use Sentry for authorization. You mentioned the security is a big challenge in big data world, and we have a very good security system along with Kerberos and Sentry.
So the tools that are out there, I mean, a lot of folks are new to the security tools, to Cloudera, to Hortonworks, and others. You're saying there's enough maturity in all of these systems that an organization like yours, a large payer, is comfortable in using these systems. Makes sense. All right, so any new methodologies employed while putting up this platform, the stack?
Yeah, sure. In our current system, we have long turnaround time for ad hoc and complicated analytical queries, since the requirements will be passed on to a tech team and preparing an efficient query and running and getting the results. With big data and analytical dashboards, business users can slice and dice the data based on the required criteria. So the turnaround time is mostly zero in many cases. So the data is available to the user as it happens.
Gotcha. So it's one thing to actually set up the whole the stack, but now let's talk about the analytics part, the meat and potatoes. What are some of the tools that are being used to actually mine this data, to actually provide it to the end user?
So we are getting into more technical. Right? The tools that we use for analytics, obviously HDFS, and we used Hive and Impala. Specifically, our file format is Parquet, and we used Uzi for automation that comes out of the box in a Cloudera, along with a Spark and Kafka for machine learning, and in future we are looking into add Apache Kudu.
Gotcha. So question here. So normally in traditional data warehousing, there is a long turnaround time for getting data loaded. In your instance, are you automating the data ingestion process, and is it faster?
That's a good question. Yes, we did automated the data ingestion process using Uzi.
Okay. Uzi was the automation tool in this instance, and a much quicker result.
Yes.
Okay, and that means a much quicker result to the end user, to the business user. Okay, so now that you've got this set up, you've got a prototype, what were the initial results? I mean, you looked at some of the initial results. Speed was one of them. What else did you see?
Yes. We observed the storage cost is much less as compared to traditional data warehouses. Scalability and performance increased multifold. We have queries running multiple days in current system that we are able to complete them in minutes with big data, and we are able to efficiently flag or duplicate or OPL and subrogation claims before even payment.
Okay.
Users are pretty happy with the analytical dashboards and their performance.
So you're seeing very good initial results. You've got this cluster up, this big data cluster. You want to increase it. How does this work? How do you increase the amount tell us, how does it work on big data? We've got this prototype. It's this specific size. We want to increase its size for new use cases. How do you do that?
That's the beauty of this whole system. Like you can add resources or cut down resources on demand basis, just like your Lego blocks.
Just like Lego blocks. That's a great analogy. So you're building one on top of the other, and your use decreases. You can pull some of those Lego blocks off.
That's right.
Unlike traditional hardware, where once you buy it, you're sitting with it with your capex cost.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So now we've built this prototype. The leadership sees what they like. Now it's time to see what else you can do with it. You spoke of machine learning. Machine learning is a really hot topic, hot subject in a lot of industries, really harnessing the power of automation, harnessing the power of the computational power of systems. You mentioned some of the technology with machine learning. Your leadership sees all this. What's the light bulb moment that says, hey, you're doing great things in this prototype. Let's try to expand our use cases and see where we can apply machine learning and some of that cost savings in other places. Describe some of the other use cases in that light bulb moment.
Since we have all this historical data in Hadoop and with all the computational power, we focused on prioritizing on our pain points in our system. So we are like, why don't we expand the prototype and apply more machine learning techniques to help out our business to reduce the manual work that they're doing in addressing claim leakage, such as other party liable claims or subrogation claims, and also duplicate claims. Apart from machine learning, we saw the potential in bringing the fast data to the end users so that they can quickly react to day-to-day business needs.
Okay, and this is the fifth step in essence. The fifth step really is, all right, I've built this prototype. Let's find new usage for our system. And in that fifth step, the beauty of this, from my own experience, is duplicate claims, OPL. These are serious money issues that payers face. How do you reduce your OPL liability? How can you reduce the amount of duplicate claims that you're facing? There's only so much you can do in traditional systems. What I'm hearing from you is that you're going to investigate in the future how to solve some of these duplicate claims issues, look at these patterns and trends that you're seeing, and hopefully bring down those numbers through suggestions and recommendations to business. Is that correct?
That's correct. On top of that, we have a quality sample because all the data resides in big data. You could use as a sample data, so the quality of your sample goes up.
Gotcha. And as far as OPL, Ramesh, other party liability, in essence, the payer wants to figure out if there are other places or other organizations that would have some of the liability and the cost of paying that claim. This is work that you're doing after post-adjudication, correct? The claim has been paid. You're going back and saying, hey, can we revisit any of these claims? Is that right?
That's the current process. What we are looking at is flag these claims even before paying, so that we can reduce the manual labor and the time that we spent on recovery process.
And that would be fantastic. So in essence, you're not waiting till everything's gone out the door. You can proactively look for claims that are OPL, make those suggestions.
That's right.
Okay, wonderful. So, and as far as the machine learning technology, I know we have a few of these listed in our slides, Spark and MLibrary, Impala. How easy or difficult is it to implement these technologies?
It's not that difficult as you compare. It's all based on the skill set that what you have. If you have a Java pool of team members, it's not that difficult, I would say.
So that sounds great. And so just to summarize, the system, your business case was based on it actually helping reduce costs. You help reduce storage costs, you help speed up the ingestion of data, you increase the availability of analytics, and you improve the quality of those analytics because even your sample size increased, correct?
That's correct.
So previously you might have seen 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years worth of data in your sample size. Now you can expand that to pretty much an infinite amount. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, Ramesh, I know you and the team have found success leveraging these 5 steps in implementing big data, and the results are ongoing. It's not like you've already captured your ROI and are done with the technology stack, but you're finding new use cases, and I think that's one of the most important parts of this process. How can we get the most out of our technology spend, and how can we get the most out of this cutting-edge technology? The results from this particular client's data journey illustrate that an approach that includes an end-to-end strategy of the future state, yet is flexible, with a platform that is generated in-house and is scaled up to specific needs, can provide the most bang for the buck and lead to exceptional infonomics. I hope this deep dive into this particular use case has helped illuminate how 5 steps with a clear vision to start can help improve data speeds by effectively implementing and leveraging data analytics in the Hadoop framework. Thanks, Kelly. Any questions for us?
Yes, thank you, Mason and Ramesh. We've gotten a couple questions, and it's still not too late. If you have questions you'd like to ask, please go ahead and put those in directly to the GoToControl panel. But I have 2 right now that I want to start with. The first one is, what tool or tools were being used for analytics? Is it Tableau?
Yeah, but we are currently using Hue that comes out of the box from Cloudera, and we have some in-house technologies as well.
So an open source tool. Hue is an open source tool?
It's open source, but that comes out of the box in Cloudera.
Okay.
Great, thank you for that. And the last question we have is, what other kinds of situations would work well with this technology?
You're basically asking for use cases, right?
I believe
so. Use cases are everywhere. I would suggest to start looking at your pain points in your system, especially where an automated process can increase your ROI. For example, claim leakage. The recovery of overpayment is a tedious job. You could easily flag the potential OPL or subrogation claims even before payment based on the patterns you learn from historical data.
Great, thank you for that, Ramesh. And if there's no additional questions, I think we're about out of time for today. Thank you again for joining us for 5 steps for payers to reduce costs and improve data speed. We hope you had a great time and that this was informational, and we hope you'll join us for another Xion webinar. Have a great day.